Good day, class. I will discuss to you how to perform estimation and basic calculation. So class, it is important to be able to measure and calculate surface areas. It might be necessary to calculate, for example, the surface area of the cross-section of a canal or the surface area of a farm. Okay, so let's have our objectives. Our objective is to perform estimation or basic calculation in the workplace. Also, to follow procedures in reporting to appropriate person the estimate of materials and resources. To perform estimations or calculations to be done according to the job requirement and to employ different techniques in checking the accuracy of results. In any economic activity, production always involves the four factors: the land, the capital, labor, and entrepreneur. So the land includes the land properties, forests, or anything that is attached to the land. Okay, so in economic terms, the land are all places which are considered point of production. Okay, so for example, forest is the place for producing timber. Ocean is the place for producing tuna. Fish pond is the place for producing tilapia. Field is the place for producing vegetables. Okay, so the second one is the labor. So the labor refers to a person who does physical or mental activity to produce an output, okay? So labor can be skilled or non-skilled. Skilled workers are those that have undergone training or those that have routinely performed the labor, while the non-skilled workers are those who do not undergo training or those who handle the job for the first time, okay? So the third one is the capital. The capital refers to the wealth and resources intended for use in business. Money or cash is called cash capital, while materials used are capital goods. So different countries have different ways of determining wages, and wages rates could be dependent on market demands. Okay, so for the last one, we have the entrepreneur. Okay, so the entrepreneur, okay, is somebody who starts or finances a new undertaking to make profits, okay? So entrepreneur should be distinguished from traditional businessmen who would rather engage in risk-free or, okay, or safe and established businesses. People with entrepreneurial qualities are risk takers, okay, creative, and willing to sacrifice personal comfort to attain present goals. So we will be dealing with that, okay, soon on our week 7, the personal entrepreneurial competencies, okay? So class, let's have the factors that affect your income in an agricultural enterprise. So class, we have the different financial concepts, okay? So fixed costs do not change even if the size of the farming enterprise changes. Fixed costs will have to be paid continuously even if no production occurs. So the examples of fixed costs are electricity bills, purchase payments, and rental accounts. The second one is the variable costs. So the variable costs are costs that are needed for production and will only be incurred when production takes place. The examples of variable costs are fertilizers, casual labors, and irrigation costs. The third one is the indirect costs. So these are the costs that are essential for the daily running of a business. They are also known as overheads or fixed costs. So the examples of indirect costs are rent, management costs, and municipal taxes. Okay? So the fourth one is the direct costs. The direct costs are costs that are directly linked with the production of a crop. Okay, they are also called the variable costs as they vary with the output. Okay, the examples of direct costs are materials, okay, the wages paid to temporary labor. Okay, so the fifth one is the material costs. These are costs for items that are used for production and may include costs for fertilizer. For example, are pesticides, herbicides, okay, and fertilizer, okay. We also have the production costs. So production costs entail all the costs involved in producing a crop as well as the costs associated with delivering the crop to the market. So example of production costs are field production, packaging, and transport. Okay? We also have the other financial concepts. The first one is the cash flow statement. So it is also called the statement of cash flow class. It shows how much cash is generated and used during a given period of time. So we will be dealing with the cash flow budget later on, okay? So the second one is the projected farm budget, okay? This statement is similar to the cash flow statement, but it is a projection for future seasons or years rather than, of course, a statement of the past season or year. The third one is the profit and loss statement, also called the income and expense statement. It is a report that shows the income, expenses, and resulting profits or losses of a company during a specific period of time. Okay? So we will be dealing with these three financial concepts on week of 5, which is about performing record keeping. Under the financial concepts, of course, are assets. So the assets are sometimes divided into current assets and long-term assets. So the current assets are what you use to pay your day-to-day operations and ongoing expenses. For example, the farm's checking or saving accounts or inventory you are soon to sell. Long-term assets are the things like your tractor or your land that you could sell if you needed to pay a debt, but that aren't as easily convertible into cash as current assets. So, meaning the assets are the things that you own, okay? The second one is the depreciation. What is depreciation class? It's a way to express the everyday wear and tear on equipment, spreading the cost of replacement over useful life of the product. The third one are the expenses. These are broken down into capital and operating costs. Capital expenses refers to funds that are used by company for the purchase, improvement, or maintenance of long-term assets to improve the efficiency class, okay? While the operating costs are the things that you have to buy or pay for regularly, like seeds, okay, insurance, or fuel. The fourth one are the liabilities. So these are your financial obligations class. Okay? It is the amount owed by the individual or company to a supplier, bank lender, or other provider of goods, services, or loans. Class, let's proceed to cash flow budget. So here is an example of a cash flow budget, okay? So as you can see, there are cash inflows, okay? And the operating expenses under the cash outflows, okay? So we have the livestock income, the sales of crops, the other crop income, okay? For the total cash inflows. So it's cash flow budget of Mayor Farm in the year 2013. For the cash outflows class, we have the operating expenses, the seed, the fertilizer and lime, the chemicals, the crop insurance, and the like. Okay, so we will be dealing with the cash flow budget on performing record keeping. Okay, so a little advanced planning can help avoid the short-term shortages of cash. So one useful tool for planning the use of capital in the farm business is the cash flow budget. A cash flow budget is an estimate of all cash receipts and all cash expenditures that are expected to occur during a certain period of time. Okay? Class, a cash flow budget is a useful management tool because, of course, it forces you to think through your farming plans for the year. Okay? It tests your farming plans, such as if you will produce enough income to meet all your cash needs class. It projects how much operating credit you will need and when loans can be paid. Okay? Be paid. How to get the net cash flows? Of course, you are going to subtract the total cash inflows to the total cash outflow. So we will be dealing with this on performing record keeping. At least you have the basic idea of what a cash flow budget is. Okay? So we have the different area of the most common surfaces. We have the triangle, rectangle, the trapezium, the square, the circle, and the parallelogram. Class, it is important to be able to measure and calculate surface areas. It might be necessary to calculate, for example, the surface area of the cross-section of a canal or the surface area of a farm. Okay, so the height of a triangle, are you familiar with the triangle? Okay, a rhombus, a parallelogram, or a trapezium is the distance from the top corner to the opposite side called base. Okay, so the height is always perpendicular to the base. Okay, in other words, the height makes a right angle. Okay, 90-degree angle with the base. An example of a right angle is of course, the corner of this presentation, the corner of this street. Okay, in the case of a square, a rectangle, the expression length or L is commonly used instead of base, and with width, which is W, instead of height. Okay, in the case of a circle, the expression diameter is used. So let's have them one by one. So the area of a triangle is calculated by the formula area of the triangle is equals to 0.5 times base times height, or 1/2 times base times height. Okay, for example, we have here the height of this triangle is 3 centimeters and its base is 2 centimeters. So we have to apply the formula in getting the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 times base times height. Okay, area is equals to 0.5, of course, times 2 times centimeter times 3 centimeters. Okay, so we have here area is equals to 3 centimeters squared. So the area of this triangle is expressed in square centimeters. Okay, areas can also be expressed in square decimeters, square meters. Okay, so the next one we have the rectangle. In rectangle, the lengths of the opposite sides are equal, and all four angles are right angles. Note, class, that in a square, the length and width are equal, and that in a rectangle, the length and width are not equal. In calculating the area of a rectangle, we have here area is equals to length times width. For example, okay, the length of this rectangle is 8 centimeters, and the width of this rectangle is 5 centimeters. So we will be applying the formula and getting the area of a rectangle, which is length times width. Okay, area is equals to 8 centimeters times 5 centimeters. We have the answer 40 centimeters squared. Okay. We have now the area of a square. Okay, so the area of a square or a rectangle is calculated by the formula length times width. Okay, in a square, the lengths of all four sides are equal and all four angles are right angles. So in calculating the area of a square, we have the formula area is equals to side square. Okay, for example, the side of this square is 5 centimeters. So area is equals to s squared. Area is equals to 5 squared, of course, which will give you the answer 25 centimeters squared. Okay. So the next we have the trapezium. Okay, the area of a trapezium is calculated by the formula area of the trapezium is equals to 0.5 times base plus top times height. Okay, the top is the side opposite and parallel to the base. In a trapezium, only the base and the top run parallel. So for example, we have the top, which is 5 centimeters, the height, which is the 4 centimeters, and the base, which is 8 centimeters. So we will be applying the formula in finding the area of a trapezium. So area is equals to 1/2 times base plus top times height. Okay, so area is equals to 8 centimeters plus 5 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Okay, so that will give you area is equals to 1/2 times 13 centimeters times 4 centimeters, and it will give you the answer 26 centimeters squared. Okay, so the next we have the parallelogram. Okay, in calculating the area for the parallelogram, we have base times height. For example, the base of this parallelogram is 5 centimeters. The height is 8 centimeters. All you have to do is to multiply the base and the height. So area is equal to base times height. Area is equals to 5 centimeters times 8 centimeters, and it will give you the area of 40 centimeters squared. Okay, so the next one is the circle. Okay, so in calculating the surface area of a circle, class, we have the formula pi r squared. Okay, so are you familiar, class, with pi? Yes, it's 3.14. Okay, so here is the example. Okay, pi is equals to 3.14. Okay, while our radius is equals to 4.5 centimeters. Okay, we will be applying the formula, of course, in getting the area of a circle. Okay, area is equals to pi r squared. Okay, area is equals to 3.14 times 4.5 centimeters squared. Okay, so we will be multiplying 4.5 to 4.5. Okay, so area is equals to 3.14. That will give you 20.25 centimeters squared. So the total area of the circle is, yes, 63.59 centimeters squared. So let's move on to the determination of the surface areas of canal cross-section paths. So the most common shape, as you can see, as you observe, class, of a canal cross-section is a trapezium, or more truly, an upside-down trapezium, right? Okay, class. So the area hatch on this drawing is also called the canal cross-section, and that's a trapezium shape. Okay, thus the formula to calculate its surface area is similar to the formula used to calculate the surface area of a trapezium. So the surface area of the canal cross-section is equals to 0.5 times base plus top line times canal depth. Okay, so whereby the base is equals to bottom width of the canal, the top line, the top width of the canal, and of course the canal depth, the height of the canal from the bottom of the canal to the top of the embankment. Okay, so class, let's calculate the dimensions of the cross sections of this canal. Okay, so we have the base, which is 1.25 meters, the top line, which is 3.75 meters, and the height or the canal depth, which is 1.25 meters. Okay, so here's the solution for the canal cross section. Given R, of course, again, the base is equals to 1.25 meters, the top line 3.75 meters, and the canal depth, which is 1.25 meters. Okay, here's the formula, class. Area again is equals to 0.5 times base plus top times height. Okay, so we have 0.5 times 1.25 meters for the base plus 3.75 meters, of course, for the top line times 1.25 meters for the canal depth. And we have the result, which is 3.125 meters squared. Again, we will be using the formula for trapezium. Okay, let's move on to the field of regular shape. As you can see, so we have the field here. It may be necessary, class, to determine the surface area of a farmer's field. For example, when calculating how much irrigation water should be given to a certain field, right, class? So the size of the field must be known. When the shape of the field is regular and has, for example, a rectangular shape, it should not be too difficult to calculate the surface area. Once the length of the field, okay, that is the base of its regular shape, and the width of the field have been measured. Okay? Okay, class. So we have here the field of course, the regular shape. Given, class, is the length of the field, we have, of course, 50 meters. And the width of the field is 30 meters. So all we have to do is to get the surface area of this rectangular shape. Okay, so we have the surface area is equals to length times width. Okay, 50 meters times 30 meters, the result is, of course, 1,500 meters squared. Okay? Class, in calculating irrigation areas, you will often come across the expression class hectares. Okay, are you familiar with hectare? Okay, 1 hectare, okay, which is a surface area unit. By definition, class, 1 hectare is equals to 10,000 meters squared. Okay, so just imagine, okay, 100 meters by 100 meters is equals to 10,000 meters squared. Again, its equivalent is 1 hectare. Okay? So the surface area in hectares class, for example, what is the area of the same field expressed in hectares? Okay? The one that I have given you earlier, which is the rectangular shaped field. Okay? It has a surface area of 1,500 meters squared. Okay, so let's convert it into a hectare. Okay, so what is the area of the same field expressed in hectares? All you have to do is to divide the surface area in square meters into 10,000, okay, meter squared. Okay, so you'll get 0.15 hectares. Again, all you have to do is to apply this formula. Surface area in hectares is equals to surface area in square meters, okay, in meters squared over 10,000 meters squared. Okay, so we have the result, which is 1,500 hectares or 0.15 hectares. Okay. Okay, class. So let's proceed to finding the surface area for the field of irregular shape. So in this case, the field should be divided into several regular areas, right, class? Class, what have you noticed? Okay, so as you observe, class, so this field of irregular shape, it comprises of 3 different common surfaces. Okay, so let's calculate. Okay, so what are the formulas in finding the common surfaces for triangle, square, and rectangle? Okay, all we need to do, of course, is to compute the surface area of triangle, square, and rectangle, and add the results of each common surfaces. Okay, so let's have the first one, the triangle. So we have the given, of course, the formula. Let's apply the formula, which is 0.5 times base times height. Okay, so for the square, we have the formula A is equals to S squared, right? Okay, for the rectangle, A is equals to length represented by L and width represented by W. So let's have first the triangle. A is equals to 0.5, of course, times 20 meters by 30 meters. So 0.5 times 600 meters squared. Okay, you'll get the answer, which is 300 meters squared. While in square, we have 30 meters times 30 meters, of course. So you'll get the answer of 900 meters squared, right? So for the last one, for the rectangle, it's just length times width. So 50 meters times 15 meters, you'll get the answer of 750 meters squared. Okay, all in all, the total surface area of this irregular field is, yes, 1,950 meters squared. Okay, so let's have the introduction to volume. Are you familiar with volume, class? I know that you are. Okay, so let's calculate for the volume of a block, of course, using the following given, class. Okay, for the length, okay, we have 4 centimeters. For the width, 3 centimeters. And the height, which is 2 centimeters. All you have to do is to multiply the length times width times height. Multiply the 3, okay? So we have 4 times 3, 12 times 2, 24. Okay, very good. Centimeter what? Okay, cubic centimeter. Very good, class. Okay, class. So suppose there is a reservoir filled with water with a length of 5 meters a width of 10 meters, and a depth of 2 meters. All the water from the reservoir is spread over a field of 1 hectare. So all you have to do is to calculate the water depth, which is the thickness of the water layer on the field. Okay, class, so all you have to do is to apply this formula. Okay, so here's an illustration of our problem. Okay, so water depth is equals to, of course, in meters, class, is equals to volume of water in cubic meter and over the surface in, yes, in area, okay, in meters squared. Okay, so the depth of water is equals to volume over the surface area. Okay, so we have here 100 cubic meters. Okay, why, class? Yes, very good. So 5 times 10, yes, 50 times 2, okay, it will give you 100 cubic meter. And the field area, of course, is 1 hectare. Okay, in meters squared, we have the 10,000 meters squared. Okay, so it will give you 0.01 meters. So the answer is 0.01 meters. Okay, so let's have the introduction to flow rate. The flow rate of a river or of a canal is the volume of water discharged through this river or this canal. Okay, during a given period of time. Related to irrigation, the volume of water is usually expressed in liters or cubic meters and the time in seconds or hours. So the flow rate is also called the discharge rate. Okay, for example, so we have here an example of flow rate. Okay, the formula for flow rate is, of course, volume of water in liters, class, over time in seconds. Okay, so here's the problem, class. The water supplied by a pump fills a drum of 200 liters in 20 seconds. Okay, what is the flow rate of its pump? Okay, using the formula, flow rate is equals to volume of water in liters, class, over time in seconds, class. Okay, flow rate is equals to, yes, liter per second, class, 200 liters over 20 seconds. Okay, and it will give you, of course, the total flow rate, which is 10 liters per second. Okay, so if you have any questions, just feel free to send me your concerns via messenger. Thank you, class, and goodbye.